This is already part 4 of the preparation of the COT RPMS for school year 2023 and 2024. If you haven't watched our previous videos, you can watch our previous video. So when we look at objective 4, the objective here is to display proficient use of mother tongue, Filipino, and English to facilitate teaching and learning. So that is our objective. So basically, here we see the transition from level 3 to level 7. Okay, so how do we rate them? It's important for us to define or to look at the clarifications. So how do we define mother tongue? So mother tongue is the native language or the first language of the learners. The learner learns as a child. So that is according to PPST 2017. This is a very important definition because usually this is misinterpreted by a lot of people. I think this is the reason why there has been a lot of problems in the implementation of the mother tongue, because we tend to have this one-stop shop interpretation of what mother tongue is. If the child is in Visayas, it doesn't necessarily mean that his or her mother tongue is Bisaya, because the first language that the child learn could be English. No, so as a teacher, we have to analyze and to look into the context of every child and try to adjust based on the first language that he or she really learned. No, so honestly, the problem with the mother tongue implementation was that there was a generalization done, and the materials being used were actually already, it was predetermined that since these learners were from Visayas or from whatever area, then there was an assumption already that they already have their native language or their mother tongue is Filipino. So instead of looking at the situation of the learners, we made cultural justifications, no, that they should supposedly be in Bisaya and they should learn in Bisaya, or they can learn in Tagalog or whatever is the mother, the language of the locality. They had this assumption. So I think that was where the mother tongue implementation was became problematic. Okay, it's because of the materials given. So I hope right now under the Matatag agenda there has been changes done, and hopefully this will be addressed. So let's proceed now to the definition of proficiency. So what is proficiency? It is the use of language or medium of instruction to communicate effectively in speech and in writing, including code switching, alternating between two or more languages in a single discourse, and translation, communicating meaning from one language to another. So what does this mean? Now, when we use language, the intent there is to make the person understand whatever it is that you're communicating. There are two forms of communication. You could use a speech, something that can be heard, so it involves our sense of hearing. It could be in the form of writing. So in writing, it could be in a form of letters or symbols that helps the learner really understand. There is what we call code switching. So what is code switching? In the course of making a person understand a concept or communicating a particular idea, there is a need for us to move from one language to another in just a simple or single discourse. This is very evident when we try to make our learners understand something. We sense that they don't understand anything about what we are saying. So we use a different language, which is very common to them, which is something that might make them understand. No, in just one single discourse, we are already switching from one language to another. Now, for instance, you can use Tagalog to English, or in our case, we can use Bisaya translated to English, etc. Now, in this process, when you do this, you are making your instruction more deeper, more understandable, and you are also teaching the language better to the child. So at the same time, the learner understands the concepts better. Here, we see that this is the proficiency that we wanted to see. For SPED teachers, handling learners with hearing impairment, the use of total communication. So this is TC. That is incorporating various modes of communication such as speech, gestures, body language, lip reading, and formal signs. So we call this one total communication. Total communication. So how about a novice proficiency? Able to lead a class discussion and any of the mediums of instruction. It could be mother tongue, Filipino, or English, but unable to sustain performance at proficient level. So if you cannot sustain you are already still in the novice proficiency. Okay, so we also have an intermediate low sub-level proficiency. So how is this defined? No, so you are able to lead a class discussion in any of the mediums of instruction. No, you can do it, mother tongue, Filipino, or English, but is limited. No, in a limited number of simple communicative tasks and in learning situations. But what is a little bit higher to this? No, we have intermediate mid sub-level proficiency. No, so here you are able to lead class discussions in any of the mediums of instruction, would it be mother tongue, Filipino, or English, in a variety of simple communicative tasks in learning situations. So there is already variation. No? You do this in communicating the learning tasks or learning situations that you want your learners to go through. Now, what is intermediate high sub-level proficiency? Here we see that the teacher is able to lead class discussions in any of the mediums of instruction, mother tongue, Filipino, and English. Here, so we see high. Supposedly, the teacher will be able to lead with ease and confidence already when dealing with routine tasks and learning situations. So we see the proficiency here is all about ease and confidence. Here in the intermediate mid sub level, there is variation of simple communicative tasks. Okay, but here there's still a higher level on this. So we see the advanced. So all these three are in the level of the intermediate. Intermediate is divided into low, mid, and high, and the lowest is the novice proficiency. And for the advanced, it's still divided into low, mid, and high. Okay, but what is an advanced low sub-level proficiency? Here, you're able to consistently handle class discussions in any of the mediums of instruction in a variety of communicative tasks in learning situations. So there is consistency already, and then you are capable of using variation of your communicative tasks in learning situations. For advanced, we still have the mid-level. There is consistency, able to consistently handle class discussion in any of the mediums of instruction with ease and confidence, already in the advanced mid sub-level with ease and confidence in a large number of communicative tasks. And for high sub-level proficiency, in advance, able to consistently handle discussion in any of the mediums of instruction with linguistic ease, confidence, and competence in complex communicative tasks. So these are not simple communicative tasks anymore. They are complex. And then we have superior. So able to communicate in any of the mediums of instruction with accuracy and fluency in order to engage learners fully and effectively in a variety of learning situations. So what is superior here? So the words that we see here is that there is accuracy and fluency, but much more than that, we also see that the learners are fully and effectively engaged, because there is a variation of the learning situations from both concrete and abstract perspective. So what makes superior really different is that learners are fully engaged. Okay, to what? To the various activities or the learning situations by which the teacher has prepared for the learners. So what is distinguished proficiency? Higher than superior. So you should be able to use any of the mediums of instruction, mother tongue, skillfully and with accuracy, efficiency, effectiveness, and cultural appropriateness. So what is added here is that, accuracy and efficiency is already there, but here you use cultural appropriateness. That makes you more distinguished. Looking at the culture of the learners and trying to adjust based on this culture. But just like to suggest, the essence of really communication is to adjust your communication based on the kind of learners that we have. Usually, when we interpret cultural appropriateness, we consider the culture that is written in the books. But culture is very much different sometimes with what is written in the books. I think for me, when you look at cultural appropriateness, it is your ability to study the culture, the real culture of these learners that you are currently handling. It's not merely about culture that is written in books or what is thought by the older generation as to what our culture should be. So cultural appropriateness is very much deeper. There are many kinds of culture, okay? And I'm hoping that the intent of culture here is really to make the learners understand. Each of the new generation that we'll be having will have a very separate and distinct culture from what is the culture of the older generations. As a teacher, because the intent here is to help our learners understand the lesson better, then your reference point or your reckoning point should not be your culture as the older generation, but your culture, the culture manifested by this group of learners you are currently handling. So it's very important that we also take into consideration and understand how these people act, as a group, and try to understand how they what is the current trends in their generation to adjust our instruction based on this culture that they are currently having. That's where the discord comes in, when we impose our own culture to these learners, and instead there will be a discord because they can't really relate to what we have. And instead of imposing and then looking at their current culture, we try to impose our own to them, and then that causes a discord. We think we are trying to help them understand things, but basically you are creating a confusion in the part of the learners. Okay, so looking at this definition, I would just like to point out that for the proficient learners, we are only up to advanced high sub-level proficiency. So take note of that. That's the highest level that we wanted. There's no distinguished here. There's no looking at this superior or distinguished. We only are just looking for advanced high sub-level. So we are only up to here, advanced high sub-level here. We wanted our teachers to be able to consistently handle class discussion in the mediums of instruction with linguistic ease, confidence, and competence in complex communicative tasks. So we are not expecting superior and distinguished proficiency, only to highly distinguished teachers who are in the master teacher level. Okay, and hope as a master teacher, these are things that you should be a master of the craft of teaching. So if you feel like you are not, you have to step up because you already have that item. Okay, so if you are a master teacher, you should be able to clearly manifest all these standards. So basically, superior and distinguished proficiency in the use of language. Looking at 3, the lowest level. Here, we see that the teacher displays intermediate mid-sub-level proficiency in the use of mother tongue or Filipino or English that loosely facilitates teaching and learning. So here, we see the keywords loosely. So if you loosely facilitate the language, you see that when you teach, you will not be very fluent. As we can see in the features of practice, this situation, the teacher used the language. It could be either mother tongue, Filipino or English, but it is characterized by occasional pauses and self-corrections. And he or she searches for the adequate vocabulary and appropriate language forms in delivering the lesson. So if you notice that the teacher is having this pauses, then searching for the appropriate words, then of course, that is level 3. And the teacher rarely has difficulty in linking ideas and using communication strategies such as code switching and translation. Okay, but take note of this. This rarely happens, The difficulty there rarely happens. Since there's a need for you to code switch from one language to another, searching for a vocabulary for the appropriate words sometimes happens, but this rarely happens. That's level 3. That's already level 3. That's the lowest level. So if there are occasional pauses and you think that the teacher is there are occasional pauses and the teacher sometimes will look for the appropriate words, then you grade the teacher level 3. Now, let's go to level 4. So in level 4, the teacher displays intermediate high sub-level proficiency in the use of mother tongue or English or Filipino that fairly facilitates teaching and learning. So here the keyword is fairly. So fairly na. So how do you define this kind of level of performance? The teacher here uses mother tongue, Filipino, and English. It is primarily framed using connected ideas. So do you see already the connection? The teacher is able also to manifest minimal linguistic challenges. Okay, so minimal lang, very low manifestation of linguistic challenges. That's level 4. So what is higher than that? We see level 5. This is the middle or the neutral level for proficient teachers. Level 5. The teacher displays advanced low sub-level proficiency. So here, we can look at the definition here. Advanced low sub-level already. So remember, advanced low sub-level is here. It's defined as the ability to consistently handle discussion in any of the mediums of instruction in a variety of communicative tasks. So there is already variation. There is already consistency in the use of the mediums of instruction. And we see the features of practice here. The teacher uses mother tongue, Filipino, and English in mostly sufficient, accurate, clear, and precise in conveying ideas to learners without misrepresentation or confusion. We already see consistency. There's no confusion. There's no misrepresentation. And the teacher uses mother tongue, Filipino, and English is generally understood by the learners. So generally. But here, you see consistency in the teacher's work. But, no, I think what is, as you go higher, the thing that you wanted to be involved in the rubrics is the learners already. Did you notice that there is already a statement here talking about learners, that there is no misrepresentation or confusion, and it is generally understood by the learners. So that's level 5. So if you notice that the teacher is very well consistent with the language, okay na siya, and the generally the learners are already there is understanding, there's no confusion, then that's level 5. If you say it's generally understood by the learners, then it's okay. But what is the lacking element here? The lacking element is engagement. So that is manifested in 6 and 7. So here, the teacher displays advanced mid-sub-level proficiency in the use of mother tongue and Filipino and English that progressively facilitates teaching and learning, and including probing questions and feedback. So here, the teacher used mother tongue or Filipino or English is marked by substantial flow of ideas. There is already a flow of idea, and his or her vocabulary is fairly extensive and appropriate to the level of learners. So you see that there is already appropriateness, and the teacher uses mother tongue, Filipino, English in a concrete, accurate, clear, and precise conveying his or her ideas without misrepresentations and confusion. So here there is appropriateness, no, and there is engagement in the part of the learners because the language that is being used is already appropriate. And then let's go to 7. The teacher displays advanced high sub-level proficiency in the use of mother tongue, Filipino, and English that extensively facilitates teaching and learning, including probing questions and feedback. So here, the teacher use of mother tongue, Filipino, English demonstrates a well-developed ability using communication strategies. There is communication strategies, there is code switching and translation, and the teacher uses vocabulary and intonation to express meaning and often shows great fluency and ease in delivering the lesson. So here, take note of the words. There is great fluency. There is the intonation is used to express meaning, very well use of intonation, etc. But remember, you are talking about advanced high sub-level proficiency here. So advanced high sub-level proficiency is defined as the ability to consistently handle discussion in any of the mediums of instruction with linguistic ease, confidence, and competence in complex communicative tasks that is already involved. So as you go higher, again, what we wanted to see here is a greater involvement and a learning and understanding among the learners. Okay, so if you sense that he or she is able to communicate, but there are minor corrections, minor searching of the appropriate vocabulary, then that's level 3. If you notice that the teacher is very good already with the use of language, you can connect ideas with minimal linguistic challenges. There are minimal linguistic challenges, then you say 4. Then if you notice that the teacher is very good in terms of displaying advanced low sub-level proficiency, and you notice na there is a clear representation, there's no confusion, but generally it's understood by the learners, you use 5. Okay, but 6 here, it's already appropriate to the level of the learners. You notice that there is already an adjustment, a sense of adjustment with the discussion. There is substantial flow of ideas. It's concrete, accurate, clear, precise, conveying his or her ideas without misrepresentation and confusion. Then that's level 6. But there's already an engagement level here because we notice that it is appropriate for the learners. And for 7, the highest here for proficient level is that the teacher has advanced high sub-level proficiency, and you notice that the higher engagement among the learners. At the same time, the teacher manifests precise vocabulary, intonation, and he is able to express meaning very well, and there is great fluency and ease in delivering the lesson. Alright? Very important aspect also in 7 is that the ability to code switch and translate. There is smoothness in the ability of the teacher to code switch and to translate in order to help the learners really understand the lesson better. Okay, so that's level 4. Thank you everyone for listening. We'll have indicator 5 in our next video, and If you learned something from this lesson, do not forget to subscribe or follow us in our Facebook page. Here in Learning with Doc Levs, our intent is to continuously help our teachers step up their instruction so that in the long run, they'll be able to help our learners, the future generation of this country. Thank you, everyone, and I'll see you in our next video.